reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Wednesday edition of Running Point. I am not your host, Anthony Hartwig. I'm Gary Altizer. I'm filling in for Anthony today. The show is presented by Greenwood Chevrolet, as always. Today is a special day because I'm joined by YSN's wrestling guru, Chris Colucci, and as always, Scotty Minchers on here with us. And it is Wrestling Wednesday, so we're going to spend most of the show today talking about wrestling. And we are joined today by two female wrestlers from East Palestine, Addison Paparella and Zoe Beamer. They are both regional qualifiers for the Bulldogs. They decided to come on with us today. We're going to talk to them. Hey, girls, thanks for joining us.
Hi. Hi.
Okay, so I'll start things off here. You both qualified. Addison, you got third. Zoe, you finished fourth. How does it feel to place and head on to the next phase here before you head to the state tournament?
It feels pretty good. I feel pretty accomplished, and I don't know. It feels like all the hard work paid off throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I think it feels good, but I'm also nervous because I don't know what I'm going up against. But
Okay, Chris, got a question for the ladies?
Yeah, so last year girls wrestling just got sanctioned. How does it feel finally that, all these years of, will it be sanctioned, will it not, and it finally happened? How does that feel for you guys to be part of a girls team that just got sanctioned in the state of Ohio?
I think it feels pretty cool. I feel like it's good to get more girls into the sport and get it out there and show everyone what we can do.
yeah, I think it's a matter of how many girls we can get out because girls don't are scared, I feel to do the sport, but I think if more girls join, then we're all going to come together and be a big group.
Okay, so you two are setting the pace there in East Palestine. Coach Hostetter, he's done a great job of really building things there in East Palestine. He's stuck with the program. He's been a staple. Do you guys notice that now that you two are having success and your team of girls are having success, are you having more girls come up to you, ask about the sport, talk about the sport, and say that they're going to come out next year?
Yeah, there's definitely more girls that have been talking about joining next year, which is really cool because it's good to grow the program and get more girls into it, and I don't know, just hopefully get more district qualifiers.
Yeah, I think it's good that we set an example for the girls to see.
Okay, so I ask this every week. Every good wrestler has a good drilling partner. Do you two drill with each other, or do you have other people you go to get better at practice?
We drill with each other mostly at practice, but there's also my sister who's on the team. We drill with her, and we recently started going to Poland to drill with other girls to get a feel for what it's like wrestling with other girls. We also do wrestle with the boys, so we do drill with them, which I think helps us become better wrestlers.
Yeah, I like wrestling with the guys because it shows that we can beat anyone if we put our minds to it. We can't just beat girls. We can beat anyone.
Go for it, Chris.
This is my favorite time of the year when South Range, we would go to Fitch, or we'd go to Beaver Local wrestling with other teams. You guys talked about going to Poland. What's that like, going to other schools and experiencing like different wrestlers, getting different looks? And Poland and East Palestine are in different divisions. You're not going to see each other, which is so cool. And you get different looks and good competition. What is it like going to Poland and wrestling with those type of wrestlers?
I think it's pretty cool because you get to see the different sides of wrestling, and you get to like see how other schools are teaching their kids to wrestle, and it's like you may know a move, but you get more technique and more ways to do the move, which definitely helps during matches.
Yeah, I agree because like it also shows like us other different ways that like our coaches like their coach is teaching us and our coach is teaching us, so like we can just put it together and like use it.
Okay, how long have you guys been wrestling? That's one question I have for you.
This is my second year wrestling. I was actually the first girl wrestler at East Palestine last year. This is my second year.
And this is my first year.
Okay, great. So you guys have now experienced what it's like to make weight and get on the scale in the morning. And anybody that's ever wrestled knows that that's a little bit stressful, but a big relief after you've made weight. I ask this every week. What is your favorite post-weigh-in meal? We've heard about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We've heard about pickles. What do you guys go to after you make weight to get ready for the day?
After I make weight, I like to eat Twinkies and pomegranate seeds.
Wow. Okay.
I would say I have my mom and dad bring me Dunkin'. I just eat a lot of food.
Those are some unique and pomegranate seeds and Twinkies. Did Chris Colucci eat that after weigh-ins, Chris?
No, because it'd be coming up on a mat. Like it would be regurgitated on a mat. So I got a question. You guys had a pretty good season as going into the postseason. What are some of your like staple wins of the season? The wins that you love the most, the wins that you talk about a lot.
Mine, for me, it's probably like my most recent wins, like for pre-regionals, because those made me feel the most accomplished, and that's what we've been working towards all season. And my most recent wins were the ones that got me qualified for regionals, and they were just exciting to have.
I would say any of my matches that have like been longer, because it shows me that I have to push myself to accomplish what like I get, and I got the districts, well, regionals. So
Yeah, that's a good point. When you say any match that's once longer, you're talking maybe all three periods.
yeah.
So as a first-year wrestler, I'm sure that you know the exhaustion you feel going all three periods hard for 6 straight minutes is probably something you never experienced before. What did you guys notice about wrestling, the sport in general? What was it that was maybe the most surprising or shocking to you, or what was it that you've done in wrestling that maybe you think, man, nobody realizes this about the sport?
I'd say like all the conditioning that goes into it, because that's what prepares you to go all three periods, even into overtime. And when you think you can't do it and you just keep pushing through and you do end up winning that match, it's like a good feeling.
I would say like doing the moves, because like you have to know the basics to like, I don't know how to put it, but like you have to like know the basics to like achieve
Compete.
your goals.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
Now, are you guys are both freshmen, right?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior. Okay, so plans after high school. Would you guys want to wrestle at the next level? What do you guys want to do after high school? I guess. I mean, I know freshman you got a little bit away, but junior, it'll be right around the corner. I promise you, it comes by quick. So, what are your guys' thoughts after high school?
I definitely want to continue my wrestling career. I want to put in the work over the summer and get better at what I'm doing and just continue it.
Yeah, I would say like keep going to the Poland place that we're going to, and like go to camps over the summer and just like work harder. And then when I'm like a senior, then maybe I'll like go to states.
Okay, so uh, as wrestlers, you know that going into the postseason, that's where really everything matters the most, and you have to be able to get yourself mentally prepared to get on the mat. What is it that you guys do to get mentally prepared to wrestle? We have heard some people like to listen to music, some people like to walk, some people like to lay down and take a nap and just get up right when their name gets called. What is it that you guys do to get ready to go out and compete?
For me, I like to put in my AirPods, listen to my music, get up and start walking around. I really just pace and get myself warm and clear my head and listen to my music.
Yeah, I like just like lay down and relax my body until it's like 5 minutes until I have to go up, and then I just prepare myself for what's gonna happen.
Scotty, we want to let you chime in. Do you have any questions or anything you'd like to ask the ladies?
Uh, yeah, sure. I was just wondering, for you guys, Addison and Zoe, um, what's one thing that you've learned in your time wrestling, a thing that has made you better, and then what's something like as far as adversity goes or adversity you faced that was maybe um, tough at the time, but then also kind of made you better in the long run? Is there any moments that kind of stick out?
Yeah, I feel like all the conditioning at practice, like it may feel hard at the time, but it definitely is worth it in the end. And that's what helps me to win my matches. If I wasn't so conditioned and Coach Rick didn't push me to be that way, then I definitely would not be winning all the matches that I am.
I would say you have to have a good mindset, and even if you don't want to do something, just put yourself to do it because you're not going to get better if you like do what you know. You have to do what you don't want to do to get better. And like if you don't have a good mindset, like I didn't have a good mindset in the beginning of the season, I would just say that I'm going to lose, but as time went on and you like build your mind, you like get better.
That's a great way to put it. That kind of encapsulates the sport, Zoe. When you have to do things you don't want to do to get better. That is wrestling in a nutshell, and that's you'll see that'll carry you not just in the sport but in life as well. So before we wrap things up with you guys, we always like to give time for you guys to thank anyone that's helped you along the way, or talk about anyone in your inner circle who's been there for you and has really helped make your journey a good one.
Um, I really want to thank my coach Rick because he pushes me through everything, and my mom for supporting me, for allowing me to do this sport and encouraging me even when I don't think I do good. She's always telling me something good that I did about my match, and yeah, just my coach and my mom.
I would say probably Coach Rick because he's amazing and he's pushed me through all the pain, and my mom and dad and my nana because they're like always there to just support and get me food after. And probably like my boyfriend because he's been doing wrestling for a while and he tells me when I'm doing wrong, and like I feel like he gives all of us like good tips.
Yeah, Coach Rick is a great guy. He's done a great job. And so have you guys. So we'll be rooting for you here at YSN. Addison Paparella and Zoe Beamer for the East Palestine Bulldogs headed to regionals this weekend. Good luck, ladies. Go out,
Thank
give it your all.
you.
Well, as we know, this sport is growing, and the main reason the sport is growing is because of girls wrestling. Chris, you've been around the sport your whole life. I don't know about you, but I get excited when I hear about the girls' numbers increasing. I get excited when I see more and more teams popping up because it's just more exposure for the sport. And as somebody who loves the sport, I know that you probably feel the same way. What are your thoughts about girls wrestling in general?
I love it. I love it so much. Before it was sanctioned, it was a state tournament. It was at some high school. Now it's at the Schottenstein Center. It's at the Shot where everyone, any wrestler, you say the Shot, they know exactly where you're going. It's awesome that they're expanding. It's getting bigger. I love it. I just want to see the sport of wrestling grow. That's my main thing. That's why I do what I do with YSN and wrestling, and to see that more girls want to do it, like those Addison and Zoe, seeing girls from their own school come out and doing it. They're so excited and they want to go out and do it for themselves. So I'm so excited about that, and I love to see the sport grow.
Scotty, you've been on this Wrestling Wednesday here. You've seen both boys and girls come on. Do you, as an outsider to the sport, you're learning about the sport still. Do you see any difference between when we interview the two, or what is it that you notice most? Maybe contrast, or maybe even the same.
I'd say like at least. And I could be totally wrong here, but I kind of get the vibe, the feeling from our interviews and girls compared to the guys. I think the girls are maybe they come off as a little more reserved and still confident in these interviews, where the guys, especially somebody like Marky Stancorp, who was in the comments today, he's one of those guys. I love him because he just like there's confidence just oozing out of him, and a lot of charisma and personality. And not saying the girls don't have that, but I just pick up kind of like a quieter confidence, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with you, and part of that I think is because these girls are laying a foundation for the sport, and I don't even think they know it, but they are laying a foundation for girls wrestling that in the future, this generation of girls will be looked at as the first ones, the pioneers, the ones that really stepped out and made it happen. And I think that they're doing a great job. I was just thinking about this as sectionals over the weekend that, it's taking off in such a way that, I'm thinking, why is this catching fire so fast? Why is it doing so well? It might be just curiosity, might be one of the things. There aren't many female contact sports. And if they are, usually they have to go up against guys. To be able to do that just against the girls, I think that's the most appealing part. It's nice to see. There's always been girls who have wrestled, but they've always had to do it with the guys. So to see them be able to do it with just the girls, it's been great. And I think that's going to just continue to grow and spawn. And, they are growing. There's more and more every year. I just saw a stat from the first year that there was a girls wrestling tournament up and through this season, all the way back in 2020, before it was sanctioned. It's grown something crazy like 1,100%. So I think that we're just going to continue to see this, and you're probably going to see more personality, girls coming out of their shell more, Scotty, like you do with the guys. The more confident that they get in themselves and the more time that they spend on the mat. So we transition away from that. This weekend, Chris, you were at sectional tournament. I was at a sectional tournament. The postseason has officially started. We are right here in the middle of districts week, where teams are practicing with each other. It's sanctioned. The state allows teams to practice with each other during district and state week. You can get better looks from other people in other schools, where you can't do that during the regular season unless you're scrimmaging. Chris, you were at a sectional with the South Range Raiders. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that sectional, what you saw, where you were, who won it, and what stuck out to you?
Well, the Perry Pirates are a force to be reckoned with. I'm pretty sure there's 14 weight classes. I'm pretty sure they won 9. At least it had to be at least 9 out of the 14 weight classes. They won it very handily. But as a South Range outlook, we got 6 guys out, 1 champion, 1 runner-up, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths, and 2 alternates. One of those alternates being a Springfield wrestler. Springfield doesn't have wrestling, but you can wrestle with the closest school district with wrestling, and we are very close to Springfield as we are rivals. But we did pretty good as a team. I think we could have gotten 6 to 8 guys out, got 6 out. Did very well. A lot of good wrestling at Berkshire. Beautiful school. Played a football game there actually a few years ago, but brand new school. A lot of good wrestling. Perry dominant. About it. A lot of good wrestling. Liberty. They had a champion Yeah, I'm excited to see what districts come with. It's going to be crazy. It's the best time of the year. I'm so excited.
Yeah, Perry ended up winning won the sectional pretty comfortably. The results I have here, they had 316.5 points. Second was Garrettsville Garfield, 161. Fairless, 152. South Range, 151.5. Southeast at 140.5. Liberty was 7th. Grand Valley 10th. Pie Valley 11th. Brookfield 12th. And New Middletown Springfield was 15th. So looked like there was a lot of good wrestling there. We know from covering the Raiders during football season that Perry, athletics, as a whole is a great team. A great athletic department. They won the state championship in Division 5. They took out the Raiders there, and I think they're in the regionals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no surprise to us to see how well they've done. I was at Rootstown for the sectional there, and as no surprise, the Rootstown Rovers were the champions there. They had they won by over 100 points. They had 257 points. Southern Local coming second at 150. United was fifth at 122. Jackson Milton seventh, and on from there, I think Berlin Center Western Reserve was 10th. It was basically business as usual for everyone there. Southern Local had 6 qualifiers. Hirschberger had 106. Logan Castell 132 for United, as well as obviously Dallas McCracken won there. Gabe Bissenblock and Johnny Bailey, both from Southern, won 175 and 190. So there really wasn't any surprises as far as what I saw. All I know is that this week is when everything starts to really get serious, and then you're going to see people wrestling their hearts out. Chris, what is it you see at district? What is it that you like about the district tournament in itself? Because in my opinion, the district tournament, you kind of see a big contrast. Either guys going out there and rather die than lose. But sometimes, if I'm being completely honest, you'll see guys out there who kind of checked out mentally for the season.
Yeah, you'll have those high-seeded kids, high-ranked kids you see on Borough Fan, and kids will get psyched out. There's no easy way to get to state. It's grueling. It's a dogfight. It's real war. And then there's those wild cards. I like to use myself as an example. I don't like to talk about myself, but last year I was supposed to get beat in the semifinals by the number, I think, 2 ranked kid. I beat him, and then I went on to the final. I was supposed to lose that match. I won districts. There's those wild cards that go in there and mess everything up. People don't know nothing about. It's an exciting time of the year, and then there are some of those kids that they don't want to cut the weight anymore. They don't want to be doing. Then you find the gritty kids, the kids that dig down deep and get through it all and figure it out and get down to state. And then state is all it's draw. It's everything. Anything can happen because those are the best 16 guys in the state of Ohio. So I was talking today to a former wrestling coach. You're one move away from getting in the state finals, getting in that match in the blood round and X, Y, and Z. Districts is a fun time. This is the best time of the year if you're a wrestling fan. Then right after the state tournament, we have the NCAA finals. So I can't wait. This is the best time of the year for a wrestling fan.
I agree. I'm with you. I always get excited about that NCAA tournament. It's such a fun tournament. If you're a wrestling junkie like me, you've got your computer pulled up with several screens and you got different mats on each screen. It's a fun time, but that will be in a couple weeks from now. We're still focusing on districts. And like you said, some kids, the nerves get to them, and you get to the district tournament, you're one step away. And really, when you get to the districts, you win your first 3 matches, you're a state qualifier. So you are 3 matches away from getting your goal to head to Columbus. And to be a state champ, you have to get there first. So that's the first step to that. And you'll see guys, like you said, wild cards who come out of nowhere who just happen to peak at the right time. A coach can only do so much to help you peak at the right time. You have to be doing things yourself. And sometimes everything just clicks at the right time, and you'll see people come out of nowhere. And then you'll also see guys who maybe they wrestled all year, maybe they've been cutting weight all year, maybe they haven't been good with their weight, not watching their weight, not doing a good job of that, not getting enough rest, pushing themselves maybe too hard, or they're fighting through injuries, and they get to the district tournament. Sometimes they just are mentally checked out, and unfortunately, we see that every year with guys who are ranked highly.
Yep.
I've seen guys ranked in the top 3 who go 0-2 at districts, and a lot of times that's a mental thing. Go ahead.
I remember a few years ago, Seth Shoemate. Everyone knows that name. D1 wrestler. He was going to be a 4-time state champ. Due to COVID, he only won 3 times. But at districts, he got upset in the semis, and he took 3rd. And then he went on to win state. So crazy stuff happens at state. It's just your draw and how everything works. And a kid could get upset and then win it, at state. Oh, I love it. I can't wait. Going to be a fun time. I know we're going to have some guys down there for state taking pictures, reporting. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I got a question for you, Chris, if that's okay, Gary.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Go for it.
So I was just wondering, you have such a passion for wrestling and talking about your career, and even tying into what you said last year. Like, if I had to guess, I'd bet you say you wish you were like appreciated a little bit more before this time. But at the same time, did it also help when like no one was really expecting anything for you, or they weren't expecting much, they weren't expecting you to win? Did that kind of just take all the pressure off and let you be loose? Or at a certain point, do you always kind of feel like that pressure and that anxiety?
Before any of those big matches, I'm going to be nervous. I'm always tense and, nervous what's going to happen. But I kind of enjoyed the underdog story. No one really knew about me. There on the state final, or not in the state semi match, there was over the Flow Wrestling. There was some guys were talking about, who's this Chris Colucci kid? He's only lost 1 match of the year. No one's ever heard of me. I like that, because then people think, okay, I got like an easier match. But then I turned it up and you really didn't know what was coming out. And it was fun being the underdog, having that underdog story, no one really knowing about you. I always go back to my finals match at districts. I'm getting pumped up and ready. And I kind of took it as a little disrespect that my opponent was sitting down, not really worrying about me. He had his bag on. It's kind of a little disrespectful to me that I took, and that fired me up. And I got my rear in shape, and I went after it, and I won it, and it was fun. I like the recognition that I got. I was ranked top 10 all year, but I was supposed to get beat in both those matches, and I upset both of them. So yes and no to your answer, Scotty.
And then Gary, like going back to your career before, taking over as a coach, did you always kind of like, from when you were really young, did you kind of have like some confidence and swag, or did you kind of like think people viewed you as an underdog, and did you kind of embrace that underdog role as well, or was it one of those things where you're like, yeah, I know I'm good at this?
No, never in my life. Unfortunately, I wish I would have been more like that. I think that's something that you have to. It's either something you're born with or you're not. And for me, I was not born that way. I never have been, and I wish I had a little bit more confidence growing up, not just in wrestling but in life as well. And I think it's a balance, though. To be confident but not cocky, and confident but not overconfident. You have to believe in yourself and know that you can do it, but you have to know in this sport. I'll always draw this comparison. Anybody in boxing can get punched in the mouth and knocked out. And in wrestling, anybody can get thrown to their back. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you're not ready for somebody, you can get taken out. So I wish that I had more confidence when I was younger than I did. And I really think that if you can find the right balance as a kid, or you as a coach can bring that right balance out of someone, they can really live up to their potential. But that is a very, very hard thing to do because everybody's different. Every individual is different. Everybody gets motivated by different things. Everybody gets deflated by different things. Everybody responds to different things. It's, there's an old saying that says you can't coach heart. And that part of having heart is believing in yourself that you can do that. So finding and tapping into that isn't an easy thing, but I think it plays a major role. And you see, most of the time, the best guys are exactly that. At the college level, at the high school level, they are confident in themselves, but they are not cocky because they know they can be taken out. A lot of times they go out, they work as hard as they can. And when they come off the mat, they're thankful. And I think Chris could probably agree with me in that aspect.
100%. The kid, you don't want to be that jerk because you don't want to be the kid that when you win, people boo you. And when you lose, people cheer. You don't want to be that kid. You want to be humble. You want to be respectful. But being confident is a totally different thing. And that's one thing I was always confident. I tried not to be cocky. But sometimes when, emotions are high and you win, you celebrate. I don't think that's being cocky. That's just, all your hard work going into it and paying off, and you celebrate. Like I remember after we won state my junior year, I launched my headgear up into the stands. I think it cost us a team point, but like that was just I was so excited, and that's just what I did. And all your hard work pays off, and you got to celebrate, and which was awesome.
We're going to quick break here, and we're going to come back, and we're going to give the scores of last night's sectional playoff games in basketball. Then we're going to finish up the show with a little bit more wrestling talk. We're going to let Scotty pick Chris and I's brain before we head out for the day. So we'll be right back after this.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching Ysn. We love what you do for our son or daughter. So whenever someone says thank you or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at Ysn is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name is Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Shopping for a vehicle online should be easy and worry-free. Introducing Merge from Greenwood Chevrolet, a completely new way to buy a car that combines the convenience of shopping online with the personal touch and expertise that Greenwood is known for. With Merge, shopping is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Choose a vehicle from our pre-owned inventory, build a deal that fits your needs, and finalize the deal with our online buying team. That's car buying in a new lane. Visit greenwoodchevrolet.com and let us go the extra mile for you.
All right, we are back here with Running Point. It's a Wednesday. We just finished up Wrestling Wednesday. We're going to move on now to the basketball scores from last night in the sectionals. There was a whole bunch of games here. I'm going to chime off these scores here, and then Scotty and Chris are going to chime in anytime you want with anything you see here. There were some upsets and some things that we can definitely talk about on this Wednesday afternoon here. Start off here at Beaver Local. They went down to Minerva 80-59. Cheney over Niles 75-35. Hubbard loses a heartbreaker to Orange 46-45. Trinity 39. Camp Memorial able to get them by a bucket 41. United goes down to Brookfield 52-38. East Palestine goes down to Crestview 59-49. Maplewood all over St. John 81-52. Medina Christian ends Leetonia season 53-33. Andrew Osborne 63. Sebring 37. Salem goes down to Woodbridge 41-36. Cleveland, Collinwood 19. Ursuline, big win there, 62-19. And Girard goes down to Cleveland Glenville 78-34. Springfield loses to Open Door Christian 52-38. The Perry Pirates just continue winning 85-44 over Waterloo. Columbiana goes down to Chagrin Falls in an upset there. Grand Valley 68, Wyndham 33. Wallsville Tigers season ends to Western Reserve in a close one, 54-50. Marlington 59, Struthers 57. Jefferson by 1 over Bay 71-70. Canfield over Akron East 61-33. Valley Christian able to get a win 51-35 over Berkshire. Garrettsville Garfield wins 55-44 over Lakeview. Newton Falls 47, Chippewa 37. Heartland Christian up big on Chalker 93-49. McDonald get a win over Kidron Christian 50-37. And Youngstown East and West Branch here in this matchup. Let me scroll this over all the way. It's a 50-47 win for the Warriors. Howland 65, Harvey 44. Tuning Valley goes down by 5 to Mentor Lake Catholic 64-59. Cleveland Campus International 17, Cardinal Mooney 70. Cleveland Bar 52, Champion 46. Mineral Ridge goes down to Northwestern 77-38. Jackson Milton loses a heartbreaker to Cardinal 45-43. And Lisbon, another upset here, goes down to Cornerstone Christian 68-65. That's all for the boys' scores. For the ladies, Ellett 38, Archbishop Hoban 86, Monroe Falls 50, Fitch 39, Louisville loses to Mentor 49-44, and Rocky River gets the win over Boardman 51-42. Some upsets in there, some surprises. Anything stick out to you guys in these scores here from these sectional games?
You know how I call Kirtland the team up north that begins with the K?
Yeah.
I'm going to start calling Perry the team up north that starts with a P. I mean, they're just dominant in everything. Very glad to see their success in all sports that they're doing. They have a great complex, and I love their football stadium. It reminds me a lot like Mount Union's football stadium. So that's all I got. Yeah, I'm not that big on wrestling. I know the guy below me, Scotty. This is yours. Take at it. What did you see last night in wrestling?
In
basketball.
Basketball. I'm sorry. Wrestling's on my mind, guys.
Yeah, some of my big takeaways, you mentioned there were only a couple girls scores last night, Gary. But as far as the girls go in Boardman, I know they lost, and I knew it was going to be a tough match against Rocky River. But Mackenzie Rigatelli was really impressed with her. I thought she had a great game in helping Boardman kind of battle back and make it into a game. I think they cut it to about 7 with the 4-minute mark, but just came up a little short. MC Worth also had a really good game for Boardman. It's disappointing it's a loss. Their season ends, but they don't have anything to hang their heads about. It was a 19-win season, a good year. It seems like they're going to have a really good foundation going forward. And I think the Boardman girls are just scratching the surface. And then as far as the guys go, I'm a little bit surprised by some of the outcomes last night. I'm really looking forward to the matchup of the Blue Devils, and I'm talking about, I believe it's tonight, and McDonald will go on to play Western Reserve, and McDonald got a really big win last night. It was they were well-rounded. Joey Capizzulo, he played a great game last night, and they got good contributions off their bench. I think they were in double figures off the bench as well. So that game against Western Reserve, I think that's going to be something to watch. And Camel, I knew that one could go either way. Um, Camel, I think they're really good, but sometimes they don't have they always get good looks, but sometimes the shots just don't fall. But they won by a basket, so that's all you need to do this time of year. But I know I got long winded there.
That's okay. I tell you what stuck out for me is I think Valley Christian was the only EOAC team that won, and Columbiana and Lisbon going down so soon. I don't think anybody expected that. Wellsville lost, East Palestine lost, Southern Local lost, United lost. So Valley Christian, the only one representing the EOAC here moving forward. That's what stuck out to me. But Scotty, I know you and you myself and Anthony talked last week or the week before about how close a lot of these teams were, and really on any given day, any of these teams could win or lose. And I guess that's kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah, and it's part of the I think the beauty of this time of year, but it's also part of the hard part, the cruelty of it, because several times last night you could go into it and think, especially you just brought up Lisbon and them going down. You just look at them on paper and you say, yeah, I think they're the better team. They should win that game. But this time of year, just one bad night and your season's over. So it really I marvel at these young kids and the coaches and their mental capacity to just kind of keep their composure and not crack under the pressure. All these interviews I see, um, and they seem so calm, cool, and collected. But then when you get out on the floor, like everybody's giving it their all because they know there's no tomorrow. So the intensity goes up even more. Not that there's not intensity in the regular season, but like with anything, when you get to this time of year and postseason and you're playing for banners, it's not quite the same. You're going to get everybody's best shot throughout the entire game. So,
Yep, you're absolutely right. It just like a wrestling match, one bad match, one bad night on for a basketball team this time of year, and you're done. And I was looking earlier at the new OHSAA rule that's going to start next season, where they are splitting up the divisions even further. Volleyball and basketball being the main ones that are now going to 7 divisions. Scotty, you're a basketball guy. What do you think about that? We're going from 4 divisions to 7 divisions. Now, if there's 700 or more teams, then they are making them out to be 7 divisions, and that will be the case with basketball and volleyball. Do you think that's a good or bad thing, considering football is already at 7?
yeah, I mean, it's going to be really hard to say. Like, I kind of have mixed emotions about it. And I don't want that to sound like a cop out answer, but it just seems like on all levels now, expansion is the way they're going. Like, I wasn't able to read the article, but I saw the headline about a proposal for expanding the March Madness field. And I think, like, in a way, I think it is. You talk about all those divisions, all those teams. In a way, as a fan, I think it's good because you just get more action, and there's even that many more variables and things you have to look out for. So from a viewer perspective, it makes it, more compelling. But for the schools and the coaches, I don't necessarily know. I think it might make things a little tougher. They say competition breeds out the best in everybody, but I just feel like sometimes certain schools, they don't get enough of their just due, enough of the spotlight shown on them. And I think expanding even more, takes that, could possibly take spotlights away in small areas even more. But I guess that's what we're here for at YSN, to make sure as many schools as possible get talked about and kind of have their own showcase.
Yeah, you're right. That's what YSN is here for sure. You know, personally, there are 7 divisions for football, and there are even more basketball teams than there are football teams. I think there might even be more volleyball teams than there are football teams. No one has a problem with the football expanding to that many divisions. Why not do it with these other sports as well? You know, people say, "Oh, it's watered down. It's watered down," but that's how it's done in other states. I mean, if you ultimately don't want it watered down, then there should just be one division for all sports, no matter what. And I don't think anybody would be in favor of that. So, why not let it go? There's still going to be, I just looked at the boys basketball. There's still going to be over 130 teams in each division from Division 3 to Division 7. But the way they're splitting it up, Division 1 and 2 will only have 64 teams each. And the reason they did that is because there's such a disparity in the size of the schools in the biggest divisions. I saw somebody posted that there could be almost like 1,000 student enrollment difference being in the same division, and that is enormous. So the state's doing what they can to try to make it more competitive. And who knows, it could be good for our area, for the YSN area. Why? Because there's a lot of small schools in this area. And if you're getting more balanced competition, you're probably going to see some local schools do better in these sports. It might just make it more exciting. And listen, the more excitement that's built, the more interest you're going to have built as well. I think rivalries and interest, rivalries and excitement build interest in sports, and that's what gets kids to come out and want to be a part of something. That's how I feel. My expert, my I don't know if that's even a word, my layman's opinion on basketball and volleyball. But I guess we'll wait and see. Maybe it won't turn out right, but I don't see the state going backwards on this.
One other quick thing, because I know, Chris, you probably have some thoughts you probably want to comment, but I just wanted to say too, Gary, when you brought up the argument, like people always go to, oh, it's gonna water it down, but I kind of look at it as an opposite, as more teams, there's more chances for exposure, especially the smaller schools, and there's more chances for compelling stories, and also we love the underdog too. So I think those more smaller schools kind of getting that exposure, maybe the regular season is a little watered down, but basketball anyway, everyone makes the postseason, so they're gonna get there anyway. Why not just expand?
Yeah, that's true. Everybody already makes the playoffs, so why not split them up into divisions where you're going to see more competitive games? I do not disagree with that. Chris, go for it.
I'm totally game for it, but I do not want to see it in wrestling. I think if they make more divisions, Ohio, I'm gonna be straight up. Ohio is a top 5 state in the country for wrestling, and the reason we're not top 2 is because we have 3 divisions. If we have one, California, I'll say right now, I think is the best state in the nation for wrestling. They are a ginormous state, and they have 1 division. you have 14 state champs. Right now, Ohio, let's do my math here. We have 14, 28. Oh, gosh, I need a calculator for this. 48 or 40?
No. 42.
Right now, we have 42 state champs. You make it 7 divisions, you make 198 state champs.
No.
That's just too many. You water down. Wrestling should stay right where it's at. I heard there was talks of it happening. I hope it doesn't happen.
It's not happening with wrestling.
No.
It's not happening with any of the individual sports. So the way the state did it is you have to have 700 or more teams entered in to the postseason tournament. And wrestling and it's grown by like 55 teams, has over 500. So you're staying where you are right now with the 3 divisions as an individual sport. And for you to be considered a team, an actual wrestling team and not an individual wrestling team, I don't know why they came up with this, but you have to have 7 weight classes filled. And the state of Ohio had over 500 wrestling teams that filled over 7 weight classes. There are over 600 schools that sponsor wrestling, but there's 100 or so of them that filled less than 7 weight classes. So there's no chance of that going to any more divisions. It's staying right where it is. And nothing that I read said they were going to change anything about the individual sports and how they split the divisions up. That's swimming and diving, bowling, track, wrestling, cross country. They're all staying the same. This just really impacted basketball and volleyball are the main sports that it impacted.
Do you guys think, it might be obvious, but do you kind of feel that, with wrestling, that's part of the reason why it's so unique to you guys because of the individual factor? Is that not saying that it's not great being a part of a team and winning on a team, but just kind of knowing that, okay, it's just me going out there, me against my opponent, and myself is the easiest thing to work on. It's gonna be hard to maybe do everything or try to fix my teammate or get him to reach the best of his ability, but myself as an individual, I could always work on myself. And I may have not put it the best way, and I know, Gary, you're a coach now, so you're about getting the best out of your players and your team. But do you kind of think that initially that was a big kind of draw for you with wrestling, the individual element of it?
I think that's what makes wrestling what it is, because you don't have teammates to rely on. You can't call a timeout. You can't sub in. You can't have a bad game and let the guy next to you pick up your slack. It's you and your opponent and a referee in a circle, and that's it. That's always been the thing about wrestling that's made it so great. That's what's made it so difficult, but that's also what makes it's so unique, is that, hey, you can achieve something, and it all depends on how hard you work. It doesn't depend on you transferring somewhere, moving somewhere where, hey, I'm going to go hang out on this team that's already good and just be a part of that. Because no matter where you go, it's you on the mat by yourself. And there is a certain draw to that. I think some people like the fact that they don't have to rely on anyone else. I've heard wrestlers in the past say they would like wrestling because they don't have to worry about their teammates doing their job while they're on the mat, because they're on the mat just by themselves. And if you can take that kind of mindset, you could accomplish great things in this sport.
For me, it was I love the sport so much because it was just me out there. When it came down to state dual time and going down to state and wrestling for the state dual title, you kind of do rely on your teammates a little bit, and one guy slips up, you got 13 other guys that can go out there and get the win. I remember we had top 5 ranked kid in the state, Logan Cormel. He got mollywopped by a wrestler from Lon Edison. He got tech falled, and I've never seen him get pinned. He was a stud, but he got tech falled, and he sacrificed himself going out there, and he didn't get pinned. He gave up 5 instead of 6. Doing it together is what wins. We were lucky enough to have enough guys get pins to secure it team-wise. But individually, when you get down to the shot center, when you are there by yourself, you start – it's all on you. You're just yourself out there. It's on you. And if you screw up, you screw up. There's no getting back. There's no – in football, if you're not doing the right thing, you're playing 11 on 10. But in wrestling, if you do the wrong thing, you're playing 1 on none. You know what I mean? It's a sport that you love, and it's a sport that's not forgiving. But when you win, it's the most – it's so special when you win.
Yeah. I don't mean to take away that there is absolutely a team aspect to this.
Yeah.
When you're in the wrestling room practicing, your teammates got to be buying in just like you do, because if you're the only one in there pushing yourself and no one else is taking it serious, it can really hinder you and make things frustrating. And that's a great example. You're talking about your teammate who goes out there, he got beat. But you know what? He put himself out. He sacrificed himself. Many, many years ago when I was a junior high coach, I had a pretty decent little team, and we were wrestling in a duel with the OVAC champions. And I knew if I moved some guys around and if those guys bought in, we could win. But nobody could get pinned. I didn't have a full team. I had a certain amount of weight classes filled, and they had to be okay with me bumping them around and going out there and give it their all. And I preached all week, we don't get pinned. We score as many points as we can. We pulled an upset, and I had a kid that didn't win a match all year who went out and wrestled an OVAC champion. He didn't get pinned. He got tech faulted, and we won that duel. And I did not stop talking about that kid the rest of the year because he decided to do something for his team. He sacrificed himself, and he was warming up like I'd never seen him warm up before. He smacked his head. This is a first-year kid that never won a match, and he was fired up. He went out there, gave that kid all he could give. He lost by 15. We won the duel. That was the most satisfying win that I had up to that point in my coaching career. The kids were bought into it. So we went out there as a team, even though we were on the mat 1 by 1.
Even, losing, your kid lost a match, but that's a win. He gave up 5 instead of giving up 6 points in the duel. People don't realize that, that's a win. That's a huge win. Our kid giving up a tech fall and not giving up a pin, that's a huge win. That's 1 point. You know what I mean? If it comes down to a tiebreaker, there is no tiebreaker if, he doesn't get that pin. Even if it does come to a tiebreaker, whoever has more pins is the first criteria for whoever wins the duel.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Sometimes when you're a coach, you're going out there, but hey, I don't care what happens. Don't get pinned.
And, you say it's 1 point. Piece together 4 or 5 of those 1 points. Yep. Now we're talking about it's like a win in a home. You're majoring somebody. It's like a whole nother win by 8 or more points. So to answer your question, Scott, yes, being an individual and being an individual sport and only having yourself to rely on is absolutely a big part of the sport. It's a draw for some people and it's a deterrent for others, but there is absolutely also a team aspect to it. I think it's what makes it an amazing sport. And I think it's what really turns young men and young people into adults. And it really, I don't know of any other sport in high school that can make that much of a difference for you moving forward. But we are now at the final minute of the show. Scotty, do you have one last question for either one of us before we head out for the day?
Yeah, sure. So I was just wondering from you guys, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I was just wondering, not to, not to be like, I don't know how to word this, but I don't want to come off as a victim here, but at the same time, just living with a disability and somebody like me not having the chance to, partake in wrestling or other sports in high school. But what's something you guys would say from a mental perspective that I could take away, and what are some things mentally most valuable I could take away just as a fan? Whoever wants to start on that can, I guess.
I got something. This week, district's biggest week of the year for most wrestlers. Mentally, you're in the semifinals match and you lose. You're up again in probably 20 minutes. That is the biggest mentally challenging match you'll ever have in your whole entire life. It is the blood round. You just came off a loss, and you're in a match. If you win, you're going to state. If you lose, you're done. The best you could do is be an alternate. So I would say, to answer your question, Scotty, is after a loss, being ready and being prepared to go back and wrestle and do battle again, and not short memory. Like Dory, have short-term memory loss, and as soon as you lose, it's in the rear view mirror. You're not looking in the. That's why they make the rear view mirror so tiny and the windshield so big. You're looking where you're going, not where you've been. So yeah, I'd say short-term memory, and after a loss, coming back and winning for sure.
Well, Scott, if you want to take something mentally away from wrestling and wrestlers, just think about it like this. So these guys, they go practice 5 days a week, and these practices aren't these aren't just walkthroughs. These are hardcore. You're doing conditioning and physically going up against another person for 2 straight hours, all while you're keeping your weight down, sweating like crazy in a hot room, and trying to physically move another person into the positions you want them to. You do that for 5 days while keeping your grades up, while trying to get enough rest. Do your have your your responsibilities at home, and you get on the mat. And I can't express this enough. Anybody who's never wrestled, you will never know exhaustion like in a 6-minute wrestling match. It is beyond anything mentally or physically you've ever experienced before, outside of somebody who maybe has done MMA and boxing. The level of exhaustion is something on a different level. And if you can mentally push yourself to give 1,000% when you literally feel like, okay, it's either I stop or I'm going to die, and you push through that and come through with a win, you mentally go to another place as a human being. And I can tell you now, as a coach, I have friends of mine who wrestled with me in high school who, out of the blue, once a year, somebody will say to me, hey, man, you know what? Sometimes when life gets hard, I think about wrestling and I realize what I'm doing is not that difficult. And that's what really pushes you mentally to another level where you can really accomplish things, because hey, I felt like dying before and I pushed through it with all these things behind me that I had to do to get here. Whatever I'm doing now isn't that big of a deal. If you can take that mindset, I feel like you can do just about anything.
Thanks, guys. That was really great. All I was hoping for. And it's kind of, I know we're out of time here, but it's kind of like what I do when I start like doing physical therapy, and I know it's getting tough. And I'm like, man, well, I felt like I was gonna just, be wiped and collapse before, and I got through it. So thank you, Gary. I'll definitely, and Chris as well, I'll keep those things in mind for sure.
All right. We thank everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
We'll be back tomorrow to take over reins again with Running Point. I'll be back next week with some results from the district wrestling tournament. And we all will be back here on YSN later today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you next time.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For stories, stats,